it got me thinking, you know, one of the comments you made about having a mentor, that often, you know, students don't often get the mentors they need, and some of the research we have done, especially with first-generation students and Latino male, that is the case of just not having that guidance. But it hit home for me as a doctoral student not too long ago of how important a mentor can be. And I'm fortunate enough to have one of my mentors here, Dr. Dale Campbell, that has kind of led me in my direction. And so I see the importance of that, and I think that the research that you're doing is vital to engage the employers and talking to students. Many of the ones we've spoken to have just felt like we don't really know the skills that we need to have. And so I think informing them is vital, and bringing in the employers as part of that is vital as well. So thank you so much for the work you're doing in the Chamber. We're really fortunate to have so many great partners here with the Bellwether College Consortium. My name is Tim Wilson, and I am the director of the Bellwether College Consortium. And this year, we get to address several of the issues we're talking about students' pathways and into the pipeline, and really trying to address it comprehensively, to bring a lot of the voices together, to really promote some of those best practices and come up with solutions that we can walk away with. We want this to be a time that not only are you informed, but you are networking with others and walking away with real practical steps to take back to your colleges, to your organizations, and to your institutions and your communities. And with no further ado, I want to kind of go through the different tracks we're having this year. We've been fortunate enough to partner with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, the Center for Education and Workforce, as well as the National Student Clearinghouse. And you'll notice in the program we have several tracks, and I'd love for I'm going to introduce the different respective members to come and talk a little bit about their tracks, to give you an overview as you go through your day, and then I will come back up and just discuss more about the rest of the day. And of course, the Community College Futures Assembly, for those that may be here for the first time, you may be thinking, what exactly is that? And I just kind of love to give you the overviews as what we're going to be having over the next couple of days. With no further ado, I'd love to introduce Carrie Sampson Winslow from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, the Center for Education and Workforce. She is the Manager of Programs. Carrie?
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. So for the U.S. Chamber Foundation's tracks today, we're going to be building off of our talent pipeline management discussion from yesterday, as well as what we heard from this morning's keynote from Carol. And what we've done is we've brought together some of the best examples of how business engagement and education is making a difference in closing the skills gap. So first, our first track is going to come from Kim Kuchenbrot, who's here with us from Vermilion Advantage in Eastern Illinois. And she's going to be talking about her over decades-long experience working with this pioneering local chamber and economic development organization that's creating strategic partnerships with local education groups and clearly communicating these industry needs, thereby drawing increased business to her area. They are basically a one-stop shop connecting business and economic development needs with education offerings. And then in our next track, we're going to have Gardner Kerr joining us from the Manufacturing Institute. And he's going to be discussing how his work as part of the National Association of Manufacturers is revolutionizing how industry leaders engage both in the credentialing itself, but also the tracking of credentials in order to build a manufacturing workforce that's fit for the 21st century. And then finally, we're going to have Angie Praiswater, who's joined us from Gateway Community and Technical College in Northern Kentucky. And she's going to share how her institution engaged with her local business community and our talent pipeline management process to create an enhanced operator certificate program, which is an accelerated, competency-based, single semester program that quickly trains and deploys students in jobs that are already available in her area. So I'm really hoping that if you're interested in how business and education can work together more clearly, you join us for our tracks. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And like I said, we're very excited to have the Chamber here and to learn more about the Talent Pipeline Management Initiative. In addition to the TPM breakouts, we'll also be having our National Student Clearinghouse breakouts that we've been doing now for, this is the third year I think we're doing it. And with that, I'd like to bring up Dave Pelham, Dr. Dave Pelham, the Managing Director for Foundation Relations at the National Student Clearinghouse.
Good morning. I would like to add my welcome to the many you've already received, but the Student Clearinghouse, as Tim mentioned, has been involved with the Policy Summit for the last 3 years, and we're so glad to have our new colleagues and partners, U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, join us this year. But for the 3 years that we have been involved with the summit, our focus has been on reverse transfer of credit. And just to give you a bit of information about that, if you don't, if you haven't heard some of these numbers, they're really quite striking. We've done 2 10-year studies at the Clearinghouse in which we were trying to identify how many potential students fall into the category of having at least 2 years of college enrollments, who were no longer enrolled, had not received a credential of any type. And so we went back and looked at a 10-year from the first time, from 2003 to 2013. And the conclusion was there were about 4 million, about 4 million students who fell into that category. 2 million of them had transferred at least once. And so what we have been working on for the last 3 years, along with a lot of our institutional partners, is how do we facilitate those students being able to attain a credential that they may have already earned, but they just earned it in a different way than we anticipated when we were designing a lot of our systems. So that's what the Clearinghouse, what motivated the Clearinghouse to become involved with reverse transfer. And that's why we've been involved with the Policy Summit the last 3 years. Today, our breakout sessions are really going to focus on what are some of the issues that really make it difficult or barriers to being able to implement an effective reverse transfer system. So what we've got is folks who have been involved in this process across the country. They're going to be presenting. We have 2 specific, two specific breakouts that really focus on 2 of the areas that over our time involvement with reverse transfer seem to be 2 areas that really keep coming up when you talk to people about, okay, well, what barriers are there, where are the difficulties? The first area of concern is around the whole issue of being able to communicate and bring students into the program. So there are 2 elements to that. One is obviously the outreach to students, but it also, how do you deal with FERPA in this whole process? So we've got our first panel this morning will be comprised of Mr. Shelby Stanfield, who is the Registrar and Vice Provost, Assistant Provost at the University of Texas at Austin. We have Dr. Donna Eckel, who is really well known in the field of reverse transfer for some of the research they've done at the University of Texas, El Paso. And we also have on that panel another practitioner from Tennessee Tech, Director of Admissions at Tennessee Technological University. So we are very pleased to have those folks join us. The second panel that's focused on trying to help deal with some of the barriers is a panel that's focused specifically on what kinds of policies and procedures do you need to implement or change, or, because a lot of times what happens is our structures get in our way. So how do we develop policies and procedures that allow us to more effectively serve these students. And in that session, we have, I'm going to have to read these because there are more folks in this one. Bev Shekel, who's the Associate Provost for Enrollment Management and Student Success at Northwest Missouri State University. We have Karina Barrett, who is the Associate Vice Provost for Academic and Student Affairs with the Florida Division of Colleges, State Colleges. We also have Dr. Jay Corwin, Senior Vice President for Student Affairs, University of Central Oklahoma. And finally, Rick Eddington, Vice President and Registrar at Northern Oklahoma College. So those folks are joining us for that. They will be talking specifically about policies and procedures and things that need to be changed to remove some barriers to students being able to be served by reverse transfer. We also have our third breakout sessions. We actually have two. One of them will focus on research. We have Dr. Jason Taylor, who is joining us from the University of Utah. He has been doing research on this area for the last several years. We also have, as part of that program, Dr. Rafet Dundar from the National Student Clearinghouse's Research Center. She'll be talking about the national research that we've done around this topic. We also have a second breakout at the same time where myself and my colleague Michelle Blackwell, who is our Managing Director for, our National Director for Reverse Transfer, we'll be talking about the Clearinghouse's free service to support reverse transfer. So we hope that you'll join us. We hope that you'll maybe walk away with a few new ideas and new techniques. And again, thank you so much for being here, and we are so glad to have you.